Hello, this is Mrs. Boots again, and welcome to our lesson on properties of equations. Now, every equation has a name, just like you and I. We have a first name, a middle name, some of us, and a last name. Equations just have a first name and a last name. And the first name and last name are dependent upon some characteristics in the equation or the polynomial. So, let's discover or look at what those names are. So first we're going to look at the degree because the degree makes up the first name. If the degree is 0, and I will go into how you find the degree in a minute, if our degree is 0, then we have a constant. Okay? If the degree is 1, you might recognize this, we have a linear. You've heard of that before from Algebra 1. If the degree is 2, we have a quadratic. If the degree is 3, we have a cubic. So you're noticing a pattern here. Yes, these all go back to Latin roots. So a degree of 4 would be a quartic. A degree of 5 would be a quintic. And I know there are some teachers who keep on going to like 10 or 12. For the purposes of this course, everything past 5, we're just going to write the number. So it'd be the 6th degree, the 7th degree, the 8th degree, the 21st degree, the 502 or 502nd degree. Okay, doesn't matter. We just put the number as a placeholder. Is 1st, 2nd, 3rd, so forth. Okay? Now let's look at the last name. The last name depends on the number of terms. Now terms is easy, right? Because terms are just separated by addition and subtraction symbols. We can find those all day long. We don't count symbols at the beginning. It's only the ones in between the terms. So if I've only got one term, my last name would be monomial. Mono means one. Okay? If I've only got 2 terms, it's a binomial, just like a bicycle, right? 3 terms, you got it. Trinomial, like a tricycle. And you're thinking 4 terms? Well, anything with 4 terms or higher, that's where we quit and give up on the Latin, unfortunately. And we just call them all polynomials. Okay, so actually everything that's on the board is a polynomial. Whether it's a monomial, binomial, trinomial, those are specific types of polynomials. But all of them are polynomials. We're just being extra specific, okay? So let's go back and talk about that degree thing. Okay, this is where the 2 tables get linked, right? If I have a monomial, okay, so for monomials, the degree is a sum of the exponents. Okay? If I have a monomial, my degree is the sum of the exponents. We're getting ready to do an example of that, okay? Anything else? Any other polynomial, the degree is the highest exponent. Not the first one, the highest exponent. All right? So let's look at that. Example 1, how many terms do I have? Well, I have a negative sign out front, but are there any addition, subtraction between the letters and numbers? No. So this is a monomial. So I know the last name is monomial. Okay? Now let's find the degree. I have a 4, I have a 2. I don't worry about the degree of the coefficient. All right? The coefficient is the number up front. So it's just 2 plus 4, so that's a 6. Well, 6 doesn't have a special name, so this is a 6th degree monomial. Okay? Example 2. a plain old number. Not even a high number, just a plain old number. No adds or subtracts in between, so that means I've got one term. One term, we know the last name is monomial. It's kind of like when you walk in someplace and they go, hey, are you related to, and they give your parents' name. You're like, yeah, I'm one of those. I'm from that clan. Here you go. There's our last name, our clan name, okay? Does it have a degree? No, the degree is 0. It's a 0 because there's no variables, all right? So there's no variables. That means our degree is 0. If our degree is 0, then we have a constant. So I have a constant monomial. Now, typically, we just call it a constant. Right, it's like only having one of you in the universe. Every now and then we run into those names where there's only one in the universe, but most of the time we need that last name. So it's a constant monomial. Example 3. Is it a monomial? Is it one term? Do I have an add or subtract in between? No, I do not. So it is only one term. So I know this is a monomial. What's the degree? Well, you're probably thinking 0, right? Oh, we have a variable there. What if it's not written? If the degree is not written, it's always a 1. Remember that from Algebra 1. If it's not written, it's a 1, which means 1 is a linear. So I have a linear monomial. Okay? Now we're going to get into some more exciting ones. Example 4. Ooh, looky there. Addition sign right in between. So how many terms do I have? I have one on the left side of it, one on the right side, so I've got 2 terms. 2 terms means binomial. So I know the last name is binomial. Now let's look for the degree. What's the highest exponent? Remember, we got to go with the highest because it is not a monomial. So highest exponent is a 5. 5 is a quintic. So this is a quintic binomial. Exciting stuff, right? Okay, let's look at example 5. Okay, so how many terms do we have here? I see 1 plus sign, 2 plus signs in between. So I have 1, 2, 3 terms. 3 terms is a trinomial. So I know the last name is trinomial. Okay, now highest power. I have a 2, a 1, and a nothing. 2 is the highest. Second power, second degree, quadratic. So this is a quadratic trinomial. And you're wondering, why is this so important? This is vocabulary, okay? What we're doing is establishing the names so that when I'm working a problem and I say, okay, we're going to take the binomial and we're going to do this. We're going to take this quadratic trinomial and we're going to factor, or we're going to do this other thing. You'll know what it is I'm talking about, all right? And that's why it's at the very beginning of the class. Last one. How many terms do we have? Well, I've got 1, 2, 3 symbols, addition, subtraction in between. That means I have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. 4 terms is a polynomial, okay? So polynomial. Now let's look. What's the highest power? Highest power happens to be 4. The highest power may not always be in front, okay? And I did that to you on some of the practice problems, so you might want to check it out. Highest power is a 4. 4 is a quartic. So this is a quartic polynomial, okay? Really, really super simple. The only other thing that we talk about in this lesson is the leading coefficient, all right? So let's back up. And let's just underline or put a box around all the leading coefficients, okay? So example 1, where is my leading coefficient? Well, leading coefficient is always in front of the highest power term. There's only one term, it's just the number in front, right? Okay? So my leading coefficient on example 1 is -2. That's my leading coefficient. On example 2, I don't have a coefficient. I just have a constant. All right? So there's no leading coefficients there. All right? Because remember, the coefficient has to be the number in front of the variable or the letter. Example 3. Where's my leading coefficient? It's in front. So that would be the 8. Okay? Example 4. Leading coefficient is only the number in front of the highest power. I don't care about any other numbers in the equation. Just the number in front of the highest power. That's negative 18. Okay? And we're actually going to use that information in another lesson. Example 5. Where is my leading coefficient? Okay, the highest power quadratic was a 2, so the leading coefficient is the 1/2, or the 0.5. All right? Example 6. Leading coefficient in front of the highest power. It's in front of the 4th power, or the quartic, so my leading coefficient is a positive 6. Super easy, right? So what did we actually have to do there, right? We had to count. That's really scary. And we only had to count to 4. I think we can handle that. We got enough fingers for it. So we had to count the number of terms. Terms are separated by signs, plus and minus, right? Okay. Then we had to look. We just had to look. We didn't even have to count on this one. We had to look to see if it was a monomial. If it's a monomial, then we had to add all our exponents together. But if it's a polynomial, I just looked for the highest. And the highest one, look it up in the table, that gives me my first name and my last name. The only other thing that we did was we looked for the coefficient in front, whatever the coefficient is. What is the coefficient? And it's the lead coefficient that we're caring about in this particular exercise. Okay, you are now ready to start the practice, and remember, we will use this information throughout the entire course. So you need to know what the names are, where to find your highest exponents, and degrees, and leading coefficients. All right? So please get started on the practice.